Chicken parm. It's so easy to elevate your prep, and I'm going to show you all of my tricks to make amazing chicken parm today. It starts with preparing the chicken. I like to use one breast per person, and it really comes down to breaking apart that breast and pounding it out really thin. I like to use a plastic cutting board, nice sharp knife, and then I get this to whack it. Slam your chicken on your board, and I like to flip it over so you can see the tender. Separate that tender. You want it still to be attached, and just fold it open. And then you're going to want to fan out the opposite side too. You're basically making a giant chicken cutlet. The whole point here is, by the time we pound this out, it's going to be the size of our cooking vessel. A little bit of plastic wrap helps protect your kitchen, and now we're going to pound this. Nice and thin. And you see here, this is a really, really thin sheet of chicken that is going to become amazing and crispy. Like I said, big enough to fit in our frying pan. Oh. Now we're up to our dredge. What I like to do is season with salt and pepper, and I use the flour as a seasoning. I don't like wasting extra flour. The whole point is you can basically put a whole bunch of flour here, and you'll have to season that flour to actually get this flavored. But by the time you season that flour with enough salt and pepper, you're going to end up wasting a lot of flour. Make sure you flip it and everything gets nice and coated, and season up that second side if you forget like I did. Let that sit for a couple minutes while you prepare the breading station. Crack 1 egg per cutlet. For one person, I do this on 1 plate. You can use a big bowl if you want, and just mix it up. Now you could use Old Faithful 4C breadcrumbs or any seasoned breadcrumbs. Notice it has Pecorino Romano. I like to make my own. I get these little amazing toasts from the Italian deli. It really helps to elevate and really doesn't raise the price at all for you. A little bit of Romano cheese I cubed up. I'm going to use a food processor here. Fresh parsley. The one downside to using 4C is they use dried stuff and that stuff sits in the can. So if you can freshen it up, that's going to help you out here. A little bit of garlic powder. Don't like using fresh garlic because it burns. And then your salt and pepper. Making your own breadcrumbs couldn't be easier. Get your little toast into the food processor and take it for a whirl. Now you want to get this really fine, but you're going to have to chop up everything else as well, so you don't want to go all the way. Add your cheese, get that chopped up nicely into there. Now I add my seasonings, nice fistful of parsley, salt, pepper. And notice I'm not measuring anything here. Blend it really well. And you see it's nice and fine, not unlike what you find in your can, your 4C can or any other brand of seasoned breadcrumbs. This has a nice sandy texture where you can kind of run your fingers through and you can kind of feel the texture, and you can take a look right there. You see all the seasonings, salt, pepper, parsley. Amazing. So remember, we got our chicken already coated with flour, salt, and pepper. Dip it in your egg and then in your breadcrumb. Now here, you're going to want to pack in that breadcrumb. And for me, there's no other way to do it than to just get in there with your hands. I start out with the tongs, but you'll notice here, I like to just get in there with my fingers, and you want to pack it into every single crevice in that chicken. Make sure that there are no wet spots at all. And don't be shy here. The more breading, the more crispy this is going to end up being. Really press it in, shake off the excess, and we are basically ready to go here. One thing that's important is you cannot fry this right away, so let that sit for about 20 minutes. 20 minutes is exactly enough time to make the sauce that I like to make for this. Now I like to make mine more like a pizza sauce. Lots of garlic, fresh oregano, a little bit of crushed pepper, and I like to use really, really great Marzano tomatoes. This brand here, it works amazingly. Now I like to start with crushed, but if you want to use whole peeled tomatoes, go right ahead and crush them yourself. Olive oil and salt is really all you need. Got my pan on the burner there. Gonna turn it to medium heat. About 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Add your garlic. Here I have 8 cloves of garlic chopped up nicely. Once your garlic starts to fry really well, you don't want it to burn. That's when you add a tablespoon of oregano and a teaspoon of crushed red pepper. This is an adapted recipe from Kenji Lopez Alt from Series Eats. He uses 2 teaspoons of red pepper. For me, that's savage. That's way too much red pepper. So I like to back it down, but if you want extra heat, go right ahead. Come in with your tomato and ruin your camera B. Just kidding, it's fine. And just give that a mix. Really here, you're just gonna wanna get it incorporated. And like I said, you don't wanna cook this more than 15, 20 minutes. You're basically done. Just mix it up really well. I like to cover it and just let it bubble for a little while and leave it alone. If you can't tell already, I'm a big fan of Action Bronson's chicken parm prep. You gotta go with the whole milk mozzarella, and I completely agree with him on this. Now, where I kind of disagree, he likes to use planks. Some people like to do shredded mozzarella. I like to do cubes. Now, here's the reason why. As you put this under the broiler, you want that cheese to pick up a little bit of texture, but you also want parts of the cheese that are gonna be kind of stretchy. And for me, cubes is the best way to accomplish that. And like, this is like dice size. A couple of small handfuls of this on top of your chicken parm and you're going to be ready to go. Back to the sauce. We've gone from a purple hue to more of an orange, and that's how you know your tomato sauce is basically ready. You don't want to be cooking this for 16 hours like your grandma used to. I don't want to insult your grandma or anything, but you really don't need to cook sauce that long. Notice how incredibly thick this is even after we seasoned it. I always have to give a taste to my sauce just to make sure we're in the neighborhood here. I added a little salt, and I think we're good. That sauce is going to wait for you while you fry up your chicken, so just throw a lid on it and put it on the side. You ever wonder why they call these things a frying pan? Add a little bit of oil to your frying pan, a couple of tablespoons. Don't be shy with it, but don't add too much. We're going to discard the excess. Lay your chicken breast into the frying pan nicely and make sure it's coating the entire thing. What you don't want to happen is to have any dry spots. You want the oil and the bottom of the pan to be touching the entire piece of chicken. This gets cooked for about 4 or 5 minutes on that first side. Notice I have some bubbling going on around the outside of the chicken. That's where you're going to notice it get cooked first. And how you know you're not ready is if it sticks to the pan a little bit. So help it along, tilt the pan, get the oil coated all around this thing. And you're going to want to cook it about 70% on that first side. You know you're ready to flip it when it actually releases from the pan without sticking. And I like to give it another little second to get a little extra caramelization on that first side. That's your cheese getting all nicey and brown. When you're ready to flip it, let some oil drip back into the pan there and literally just lay it back down in that pan. And like I said here, I'm going to try to give it a little bit of help to let it stick all across the pan. Tilt the pan here or there to make sure there's oil touching the entire thing. And literally just let it fry. The chicken is mostly cooked at this point. You just want to crisp up that other side. What we have on top right now is going to be our presentation side of the chicken. So when you're ready to pull this off, make sure that you maintain that side. And you see there, I got a little bit of caramelization and we are ready to think about how we're going to top this chicken. Move it to a plate and wipe out that pan with paper towel. Now I like to use the same exact pan for this, so what I'll do is move the chicken right back to the pan. This is chicken parm for one, but if you're going to make this for multiple people, use a sheet tray at this point. Top it with a little bit of sauce. You want to be careful to actually leave some areas of the breading not topped with sauce. Anything that's touching sauce is going to get a little bit soggy as you broil this. Here is what I would call a normal amount of sauce. Me personally, I would use about half of what I used here for my own. But I was feeling extra saucy that day, who knows. Come on with your mozzarella. Like I said, a couple small fistfuls of this on top. And you want to make sure it's distributed nicely. Because we have those cubes, it's going to spread across there a little bit. So you can leave a little bit of space, just like that. No grated cheese, no nothing else, and pop it under the broiler. If you want to be a creep, peek on it a little bit, but don't even worry about it. After a couple minutes, you pull it out, you see the cheese spread a little bit, but that is not done. I want to see some bubbles on that cheese. Another couple minutes. There we go. You see you get a little bit of that spot. If you want a little bit more color on there, go ahead and leave it another minute. Do not walk away and do not touch that handle without a rag or some other kind of covering. And take a look at what you just made. That looks absolutely incredible, just like what you would get at a restaurant. Come on, you could do this. But we ain't done yet. As As much as I'd love to stand over the stove and eat it just like that, you got to plate it up. So I got the most obscenely large serving platter that I could find. A little bit of sauce on the bottom. You can see that cheese pulling away there. Plate your chicken parm right on top of that. Now this is where you go for grated cheese if you really want some extra. Don't forget, it's in the breading already, but I like Romano cheese. I know it's called chicken parm. You want to use Parmesan, go ahead. Me, I like that funky character of Romano cheese. Something I like to see when I make chicken parm this way is you can see the sauce gets a little bit caramelized around the outside. That is going to be extra flavor. Time to sit down and eat. I had to throw some sauced up rigatoni on there. You can't eat chicken parm without a little pasta, but look how incredible this looks. All right, fine, we'll keep up the Papandrea of traditions and get a little extra grated cheese on there. Got my box grater, go right over the top. Just a little bit, I'm not gonna go too crazy. Just enough to see it on top there. There we go. I'm gonna cut a bite to show you before I go absolutely crazy on this dish. Look at that, nice and juicy. Beautiful sauce. You can almost see chunks of garlic in there. And when you taste this, you're gonna agree this is better than restaurant quality. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit it with a like and subscribe if you like food. And if you want a crazy version of chicken parm, click this video on the screen right now.